Welcome back to the Modern Kingsman podcast, where today we are starting the journey on our next series. Joseph, why don't you tell everybody what our next series is going to be about?
Thank you, Josiah. So, for these next 8 to 12 weeks, we are going to do deep dives in different categories, but the focus is now going to be habits.
Ooh, day-to-day little activities that can make or break your day.
We often think the little things that we do don't mean a lick, but that would be incorrect. What you do every day is your life.
Absolutely. And I think what happens a lot is people take, their feelings, their emotions, maybe the amount of motivation that they have for the day, and they try to use that as the fuel to start a new habit, to break an old habit, or just to carry them through on the tasks they have to get done. And it's not always enough fuel in the tank, if you know what I mean.
And while the motivation, quote unquote, that is great sometimes. It gets you fired up, and sometimes it's what you need to take step one.
Yep.
But after you've hooted and hollered and jumped around for a bit, you eventually actually have to take that first step.
Yep. We often say take that first step on this podcast, but today and for the next few weeks, we're going to discuss what happens after the first step, right? Once that motivation burns out, what's left? What do you have left in the tank? So I think a great way to start this episode is to start talking about a statistic that we stumbled upon and gives us a little bit of insight on our day-to-day activities, which was a little surprising to me, but according to this, 66% of your daily behaviors are already on autopilot. Isn't that crazy?
100% crazy. I believe that, though. Like, if I start looking at my day, from the moment I wake up, I don't really make, like, a true decision for myself that I didn't do already the previous day for a couple hours.
So when we talk about habits, you're already knee-deep in these habits. 66% of your day is a habit that you maybe just didn't even realize. That number blows my mind because
that's 2/3 of everything you do. You do an autopilot, but you may not have even chosen intentionally to do this. This just, you kind of fell into it.
Yeah, but if you really think about it, you wake up at the same time, usually you're going to either go to the same coffee shop or you're going to drink the same cup of coffee. You're going to go to the same job at the same time. Yeah, and while some people have more or less of that, if you really think about it, that's probably pretty accurate.
So let's talk about the why. Why should we even discuss habits?
Why does it matter? Who cares?
Yeah, it's like, look, is there something wrong with what I'm doing? Maybe, maybe not. But the habits you have every day, or every week, every month, do determine who you become. Becoming the man you want to become requires action.
Yep. There is a difference between the man you are today and the man you want to become. And the key to accomplishing that is through the daily habits that you build in order to achieve the man you want to become. It's not some one-off, one-time fix, some secret magic transformation that happens overnight. It's slow, consistent, putting in the work, putting in the time, building those habits, and staying consistent with them.
And some people, you do have to gamify this a little bit at the beginning, or you have to have the whole why comes to two different reasons to do it. You can be chasing the dream, chasing the man you want to become, or you could be running from the man you don't want to become.
That's also true. That can be equally as motivating.
If you come from a family who has a less than favorable relationship with alcohol, it's okay to run from that lifestyle and build good habits to help you not become that person.
Absolutely.
And if you come from a very blessed family with great habits and good people. Well, let's look at what they did right, and let's start incorporating those into our dailies.
Absolutely. So I think, for a second here, we spent a little bit of time reviewing this topic and, some of the more prevalent authors on the subject. And, there's one thing that seems to stick out to me the most, especially when it comes to habits. And I think we want to start incorporating that into what we're talking about here. And it's that when we talk about habits in our day-to-day life, it's almost always in small increments, right? It's never, bam, you started all of a sudden going from nothing to I'm going to the gym 2 hours a day, every single day. I'm never missing a day. I'm doing, all the pre-workouts, all the supplements, no. It's you start small and you get the membership and then you go once a week for 20 minutes. And then you go twice a week for 30 minutes or whatever that looks like. But it seems to be a consistent subject in this area, is that habits that are long-term and successful are built incrementally in small steps. It's like the old saying, how do you eat an elephant? Well, one bite at a time. And it's the same with habits. And I think that's what we're going to dive into on how do we incorporate those small, consistent daily habits to eventually achieve whatever goal we're trying to accomplish. Which I think at the end of the day is why we're here, right? Everybody's got a goal. Everybody's got something they want to achieve. And what's the most common thing that you hear? Oh, an excuse. Well, I can't because of that. Or I didn't because of this. Or this prevents me here. Or, well, I just didn't have enough time. Or, it just didn't work out. Well, habits are the key to accomplishing those goals. What do you think?
I like that. Habits are the key, but some people have a real hard time connecting today's habit with tomorrow's result. Because if you go to the gym day 1, day 2 is probably not going to be a good day. Just being upfront. You're probably going to be sore.
Yep.
And your six-pack's probably not going to show on day 2, especially if, you spent, 10, 20 years putting some padding there, stopping it from viewing. So these things take time. So you have to be patient with yourself and realize that these little habits, these little 1% improvements, this is what we're aiming for. Because we're not just working with the man we are today. We are also trying to become the man we want to be in 10 years, 5 years.
Yes.
Which does mean that you believe you will be here in 5 and 10 years.
Yep. And we think a lot of people are looking for how do I achieve that man? Because what I'm doing now isn't working, or I'm struggling, or it's not going the way I thought it was. What am I missing? Why isn't this working out the way I thought it was? How can I be better? And I think what we want to discuss in this series is how consistent daily habits can be the key to helping you achieve that.
I was listening to a talk by Les Brown a couple years back. He said, all of us are self-made men, but only the wealthy will admit it.
That's powerful. That's powerful.
Like this right here. I might have a little bit extra weight. Maybe I have a habit of eating, sweet tart jelly beans if they're in my house. And I do that consistently every night. When I come home, I just want to relax from work and I grab a handful. It's never just a handful. It's a handful and a bag every time. It is that little habit that if I just moved the candy to another room and I wouldn't see it, boom. That's 500-600 calories a day. Let's be honest, it's 1,000 calories for me every time.
Oof.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
No, well, no, I think you're exactly right. And I think that points to a perfect example is that, habits can be super beneficial, and they can be the key to success or accomplishing a goal, but they can also be the thing that drags you down.
Oh, absolutely. I'll use one from my life here. A while ago, I was hearing don't know who was talking. It might have been Pints with Aquinas. And he was talking about how when he first wakes up in the morning, he historically we'd always reach for our phone. It's almost what we all do, whether your phone's your alarm or even if it's not. As soon as you wake up, you often reach over and grab your phone.
Mm-hmm.
That's a habit. Well, I'm like, wait a minute. I would rather, first thing when I wake up, I'd rather lean over and kiss my wife. So, intentionally, when my phone goes off in the morning, don't hit the snooze. That's a different thing, but turn the alarm off.
Yeah.
And then I lean over, kiss my wife.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm in a habit of doing that. So now the first thing when I wake up, wonderful, I see my wife.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to, well, I wake up, I grab my phone. All right, well, I turn the alarm off. I have a notification. Oh, it's a news notification. Oh, instant negative news hits my mind. And I haven't even gotten out of bed yet.
Yep.
No,
Mm-hmm.
so you have to change these. I mean, that was a small habit, but it
Mm-hmm.
made my day better. Instantly, my day started out with something wonderful instead of something hitting me negative right off the rip.
Yep. And yeah, and that especially in the early morning, man, your habits can be so powerful for how successful the rest of your day is.
Mm-hmm.
And I was reading a little bit, and it was saying, habits are what make who you are, essentially. In a lot of ways, not entirely, but your habits are a large part of who you become. If your life is filled with good habits, then a large part of who you are is going to be reflected in those habits. But likewise, if your habits are unhealthy, toxic, just overall negative influences on your life, that's going to reflect in who you are as a person.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying habits are everything, but they definitely play a part in the person that you are and the person that you are to other people.
Ooh, the person that you are to other people.
Absolutely.
That's huge. So, I'll use a work example for this one here. I have some wonderful coworkers, but occasionally, when you first show up at the job in the morning, if the first thing out of their mouth is a complaint or something negative, even work-related,
Absolutely.
that just puts a bad taste in your mouth. It might just be a habit of, hey, my first thing is I need to give them an update. Okay, well, that update's always negative. How about you start with, hey, good morning.
Yep.
That so simple moment. Hey, good morning. Make sure the person's alive,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Acknowledge the human, and then say, all right, so we need to talk about this. But take that moment. A lot of people don't even have the habit of saying good morning to people.
Yep. And it's that habit that creates an impression on someone else about the person that you are. Even though you may be a perfectly great person, that small habit leaves a long-lasting impression about who you are to that individual.
Mm-hmm. Now, earlier you said about these habits really help make who you are. Well, I've heard it said man cannot pick his destiny, but he can pick his habits. And his habits will build him into the man who gets that destiny.
Yes, and I want to be clear here. I think something that's so critical for so many people is if you don't pick your habits will pick you.
Yep.
If you don't purposefully choose the habits that you are daily engaging in, you will eventually pick up habits that you never intended to. The hitting the snooze button 10 times in a row. The being a unpleasant, complaining individual because you feel like your life's just falling apart and you're going nowhere. You're endlessly putting in hours, or, the habit of constantly scrolling on TikTok and wasting hours of your day because you just don't have the right habit set up. Eventually, you'll fall into a habit, and most of us probably already have.
Mm-hmm. Whenever we talk about setting up habits, some people are, running from that dread, or they have some bad habits. And I've always found the best way to beat a bad habit is to have a dream big enough to make you want to change your habits. Not talk about changing your habits, but something so in here, and it often becomes a lifestyle, a life goal, something spiritual that connects. Usually has to be something that big to pull you out of the habits that you have usually.
Yes, I totally agree with you. And I think habits are just such a powerful part of every person's day. And I think what we're doing today is we're starting a series saying, hey, look, we realize habits are such an influential part of our life and everybody's life. We want to explore how we can incorporate habits into our lives and talk about how we can improve our lives with these habits while you guys watch.
Mm-hmm. And each week as we do this, there's going to be a little bit of an action item at
Absolutely.
the end. A little bit of a challenge there.
Especially because while we're talking about this, we're also trying to incorporate it into our lives. We're trying to grow while we learn and share it along the way.
Yeah. No, everyone really loves seeing how someone succeeds. But you know, it would have been really cool at the beginning of Apple to watch Steve Jobs go through the full fight.
Mm-hmm.
See all the ups, all the downs. See the Elon Musk interview where he had to decide which company he's going to save because on Christmas Eve, they're both going bankrupt. So, and him making that decision. We love the people who once they make it.
Yep.
But we want to see the fight.
Yep.
So this is you guys joining us here just for some reference material. You're going to hear us reference different books, different talks, different authors, what we're going through, what we're pulling from. We're going to try to pull some from science, spiritual, a little bit of everything. You're going to hear the names James Clear, Grant Cardone, Jordan Peterson. Those are just three that come to mind. You're going to hear some biblical quotes in here. It's just going to be peppered throughout. Because we don't have this mastered.
No, not at all.
But there are people with many more years of experience and wisdom who've taught on this, who have maybe something in life that we want, and the only way to get it is to possibly do what they've done.
Yep.
Maybe not the exact same way, but there's habits that we can do. And if you don't like the word habit, just call it a pattern. Call it anything else. Call it it's just what I do. It's just who I am.
Mm-hmm.
So at least one action item to incorporate for today. Start thinking about who you want to become. That would probably be the number one thing. Because if you don't know who you want to become, this really gets difficult. And that's okay to not have a perfect picture. It's more helpful if you have one.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's, look, I want to have more money in my bank account. Okay, that's fine. That's a good goal to start with because there's habits that help you get you there. I want to be able to walk a little further outside. I want to feel confident in the mirror. I want to have a better family life.
Mm-hmm.
There are little habits that incorporate through all different areas of our life. So if you got an area in your life you want to be better, we were most likely going to discuss at least one habit to help get you that better life that you're looking for.
Yep. So, like you said, pick a goal, a task, a vision, if you will, that you're trying to accomplish, and then write it down. That's super critical. Write it down. Whether it's, I want to be healthier, I want to be more financially stable, whatever it is, write it down. Because not only will we be talking about this as we go throughout this series, but just realizing and recognizing that that's a goal that you have is step one. So pick a goal, write it down.
And that goal, again, could be just who you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be a better husband? You want to be a better boyfriend? A better friend? A better Christian? A better society? Better citizen? All that. It's all going to come down to your daily routines. And who knows? A month from now, you might look back and be very proud of yourself. Or you might look back and notice nothing changed.
But either way, you had it wrote down.
Yes, please write it down.